What's going on, everybody? My name is Paul. Thank you for joining me here at All In today. So today, I'm going to be doing my top 5 most disappointing games of 2018. So there was a lot of good games that came out this year. A lot of good games. Some of my favorite games came out this year, games that we've been waiting on for a long time. You know, we had our God of Wars, we had our Red Dead Redemption 2s, we had our surprises like Celeste. But then we also have some games that personally I was waiting on. I know that some others were excited for, and when they came out, they ended up. Calling them flops would be going too easy on them. So let's just go ahead and jump right into it. We're going to go in order of what I think is the least disappointing. But still disappointing, of course, it's on the top 5 to my most disappointing game of the year. So we're going to start off with Sea of Thieves. Sea of Thieves is my number 5 for a couple reasons. One of the big reasons is I love Rare. I love Rare. Banjo-Kazooie, Donkey Kong Country back on the Super Nintendo, Donkey Kong 64, like Banjo-Tooie, you had your Perfect Dark games. All those games. Pretty much anything from Super Nintendo to N64 I was a big fan of. I really never got a chance to play them on the 360. I've never owned an Xbox console in my life. So I unfortunately missed out on a lot of those. But Jet Force Gemini. I was a Rare kid. All the games that they put out, I played. I loved them. And so when I got my PC and I saw that Sea of Thieves is coming out. It's made by Rare. The art style, I'm loving it. The concept, an open world where you're not on servers or anything, and you can run into other pirates at any time, and you and your shipmates have to drive this ship together, and like all this wild stuff. You go and get chests, and you're fighting skeletons. It's all right up my alley. Like this, from the trailers, from the E3 press conferences, I was in there. I was all in on it. But then I get the game. Me and some buddies, we get the game and we start playing and we're driving these ships around and we're sailing around, and at first we're loving it because the water is probably the best looking water I've ever seen in my life. I love the character, the character generator. I am a little bummed that you can't create your own pirate, but I'm actually kind of cool that I know some people were, complaining about that, but I was actually fine with that. But what I wasn't fine with was, I'm piloting this ship around and there's nothing to do, because if you're not running into anybody, then this is just open water, because unfortunately there's no skeletons, on their boats, driving around. There's nothing in the water besides some sharks. If you fall in, that can hurt you. Now later on, they did add stuff like the Megalodon and the Kraken, but none of that stuff was there at launch. And this is a full release game. This isn't something that came out in early access, which is going to be a big thing on this list, where a lot of games feel like they come out in early access, but they're not. They're full release games. They're asking $60 for this. They're putting it out saying that this is a finished product, but it just does not feel like a finished product. So, and that's kind of how that's kind of how Sea of Thieves was. You're going in and you're getting chests and you're working for these 3 factions, but these 3 factions just keep asking you to do the same thing over and over. Go and get a chest for them. Go and kill some specific skeleton thing that looks like every other skeleton thing that you're killing, or go and get this specific type of animal. And there's only 5 different types of animals in the game. So you're doing these things over and over and over, but for no reason. You're not really you're not leveling up. You're leveling up with them, but for nothing. You're not getting more powerful equipment or anything like that. You're getting aesthetics, like your ship. You can make your ship look different. You can make your pirate look different. You can make your gun, weapons look different. But you're not getting new guns. You're not getting new swords. You're not even getting different ships. It's all cosmetic, and that might work for some people, but not for me. I need more of a reason to do something than that. And then you get to the end of the game, and it ends up like you're working for these companies, you're leveling up with them, also that you can be this special type of pirate, and you're going to get these other quests, and it ends up the other quest just combines all 3 of those things together. And so you're still just doing the same thing over and over and over. Now, I admit that Sea of Thieves throughout the year, they didn't just put this game out and then step away from it. And I respect them for that. That's why they're at number 5 and not, number 1. Because they are constantly adding stuff, and it's all free DLC, it's all free updates, and I have no doubt that this is going to be a good game in maybe 2019 or 2020. But in 2018, Sea of Thieves was very, very disappointing to me and others that I played it with. I mean, like I said, I know that there's some people that like it, but for me, it's just it did not meet my expectations, and it's the 5th most disappointing game I played this year. Number 4 is State of Decay 2. Now, State of Decay 2 there seems to be a trend here. A lot of these Xbox Game Pass or whatever these Xbox only games are don't really live up to what I had hoped they would be. State of Decay is a game that had came out on the Xbox 360. I never had it, but it looked awesome to me. It came out in a time where I wasn't burnt out on zombies. An open world survival game where you're having to go around and you're building up your towns and stuff, and you're having to face off against all these zombies, and you're going out and looting places, and you're rescuing people. It sounded awesome to me. It sounded like a more involved Dead Rising to me. But so then you get your hands on State of Decay 2, and now I will say I did play the first State of Decay years later on my PC, and it didn't handle very well. I didn't really love it. But I liked the concept, but I didn't love it. So I'm expecting with State of Decay 2, hey, this is out now. They're going to fix everything that I had wrong with the first one. That didn't really happen. The controls still honestly aren't that good. The weapons and all that still don't feel that good. The menus are clunky. Some of it is confusing. I don't understand how some of this works with this works. The tutorials just are almost non-existent. They kind of teach you like some things, but you're having to figure a lot of this out. And that's not a problem. A lot of games do that nowadays, like Dark Souls. I love Dark Souls, and I have no problem with that. But Dark Souls also isn't clunky in its teachings, and it doesn't force you to do things that you're not getting, or you pick it up very quickly. State of Decay, I feel like that isn't true. Now I'd be lying if I said I had no fun. I mean, during the first couple hours, me and my buddy Kyle, while we were playing, we were having a blast with it. We were tearing through the town. We were capturing places and getting new people and building up our bases. And I really was having a lot of fun. But every step of the way, we kept having bugs, and sometimes the frames and it would dip and it was laggy. It just did not have that polish that that I kind of expected out of it. And maybe that was me expecting too much. But I think everybody wants a game that works correctly, kind of out of the box. Now, again, nowadays, you can't really expect that, but that doesn't mean it's okay. That doesn't mean that we should let these companies get a pass just because, hey, everybody comes out a buggy mess now. That doesn't make it okay. That's not something that we can say for them. That we got to hold their feet to the fire. This came out, it was a buggy mess, and for some people, I was hearing about it. It never personally happened to me, but I was hearing about some of my friends who was playing the game and lost all their progress, would hit game-breaking bugs, would lose all their progress, and that is stuff that it does not work. It is 2018, 2019 now, but we are far enough along that this stuff should not be happening. And like I said, it's fun. I enjoy the game, but it's something that I got halfway through and I couldn't take it anymore. So it did not make me want to go any farther. I did not fall in love with it like I really was hoping that I would. So it had to make it on my list as number 4. Number 3, Metal Gear Survive. Now, I'm going to be honest, this I did not play any more than just the demo. They put out that beta, I guess it was the beta. They put out the beta, and you got to play it. But honest to God, everything that was in that beta was pretty much all you can expect from that game. And man, what a disappointment it was. Metal Gear Solid is a fantastic franchise. Metal Gear Solid 4 is one of my favorite games of all time. That was probably the last game that I played literally all the way through in 2 sittings. And this was a long game. I'd say it takes about 18 hours or something. It took me about 18 hours or so to beat the Metal Gear Solid 4. I remember staying up from like, you know, started playing at 5 o'clock this day and playing through midnight into the morning of the next day. Could not put it down until I beat it. And the other Metal Gears, I never played a lot of 1, but growing up, me and my buddy used to play a lot of 2, 3. Like, these are games that we grew up loving. Then Metal Gear Solid 5 came out, changed the game. I mean, it is one of the best games on the current consoles, PS4, Xbox One, PC. It is one of the best games that is out because of what they did. They made this open world sandbox that there is so much that you can do with it. It is so fun. The Fox engine, the engine that this game is built on, is so, like, it is the literal definition of a sandbox. Like, you are just having so much fun with this game. The story, you know, it is what it is. I kind of did, but I couldn't hardly make heads or tails of what was going on. But I tried my best. But that was okay. That we're not talking about, you know, the story of Metal Gear Solid 5. Metal Gear Survive had none of that. They have the open world, you know, stuff of Metal Gear Solid 5, and they added in the survival aspect where, you know, you have to eat, you have to drink, and all this stuff. And that's cool because I actually like open world survival games. That's been one of the biggest, you know, genres that I've picked up since I've gotten my PC. Is I just have fallen in love with these survival games. I play Rust, I play Ark, I play like all these different kinds of Breath Edge, like Subnautica, like all these games. I love them. I love these types of games because they feel more realistic. But in Metal Gear Survive, I feel like it doesn't really fit. Also, the enemies of Metal Gear Survive is just, they're so boring. You put down a fence, you use a stick, and you poke these zombies through the fence, and it's the same thing over and over and over. This game just, it's a dull, unfun to play grind. You're grinding to get better stuff, but even when you get the better stuff, it's not fun. Like, it doesn't make the game any better. It just feels like no sustenance. Just like, you know, kind of how Sea of Thieves was. At least Sea of Thieves was more fun to play than, I will say, Sea of Thieves was at least fun to play, you know, fun to play with buddies, you know, you're screwing around, you're having a good time. This is just, there's no fun to be had. Like, there is no lightheartedness. There's just no even co-op fun to be had with Metal Gear Survive. Also, good luck trying to find a game at this point. You know, looking at Steam and stuff, like how many people are still playing this game, even if you want to get into it. Good luck. And you're probably not going to talk your friends into getting it either. Trust me on that one. But yeah, so that's why Metal Gear, you know, Survive makes number 3 on my list, which is really disappointing because anything with a Metal Gear name on it, usually, you know, even Metal Gear Rising, the one that was based all around Raiden, that came out on the 360 and PS3, that had nothing to do with Solid Snake, or Snakes. I know how there's different snakes, but even that game was a lot of fun, and that was an offshoot. But this one, they really shit the bed here. Like, there's no other way of putting it. They really goofed this one up. So then, anyways, let's not stop talking about that and get on to my number 2. This one is probably the one that I feel the strongest about on my list. I couldn't put it at number 1. I could not find it in my heart to put it on my number 1 because it might also be in my top 10, you know, favorite games of 2018. But just because it's one of my favorite games does not mean that it's not one of my most disappointing games. And that is Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Now, I know a lot of people at this point is probably going to turn this video off or like just stop listening to me completely because Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is the best Smash Bros. That's came out in years. This game is the best thing that came out on the Switch this year. I'm not arguing that. I'm not arguing that this is probably the best Super Smash Bros. Game that has ever came out. I personally can't say one way or the other because really I only loved Super Smash Bros. On the N64. Melee was okay. Never really got into the Wii one. I like the story mode for the Wii one, actually. I played through that whole thing, thought it was cool, and then never played it on the Wii again. And then there was 4, you know, the one that came out on the Wii U and the 3DS. I played that once at my buddy's barbecue, and I was like, okay, this is cool. But then I got Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. You know, the hype was all around. I got my Switch. I'm loving my Switch. I need something on here. The Nintendo Online just came out. This game is going to be great online. This is one of the reasons they're starting to charge us now. Nope. This is one of the worst things I've seen online. Like, it is crazy. You will be playing a match, and the match, like, in mid-fight will just freeze up. Suplex and bear, baby. Come on. Come on. Big Chungus. What the hell? What the hell? Come on, Big Chungus was in the lead, baby. Wait, where am I? Boy, that really puts a damper on things a little bit. Really messes up the flow a little bit when you just kind of freeze in the air for a minute or two. I had 3 lives, and then I had 2 lives, and then I died. I died once, and for some reason I'm out. Like, you'll just be sitting here fighting, and all of a sudden, like, you're about to hit this smash attack, about to get this person, or you're flying off screen, and so you need to make a quick judgment, and you're frozen. It's frozen. And this isn't a quick freeze either. This is like some of this these are like 10-second long or more freezes, and by that time, like, I've already forgot what I'm doing, or like you lose all momentum at that point. And then there's the frame rate dropping, the lag, like where you press a button and it happens a couple seconds later, which, you know, a couple seconds doesn't sound like that big of a deal, or even a second doesn't sound like that big of a deal. But in a game that's as chaotic as this one, every button press matters. Like, every single step of the way matters. I will say the game is very chaotic and I get lost all on my own, but that's just kind of how the game is. I constantly lose where my character is. Maybe that's just because I suck at the game. Maybe that's just because I'm getting too old. But I constantly, I love one-on-one. I don't like when there's 4 combatants fighting against each other, 8 combatants fighting against each other. I need a one-on-one, no items, and a stage that doesn't change. That I can't. I'm just not good enough to keep up with the rest of that, and I can admit that. But the thing, and so the thing that I was looking forward to most in this game, because I'm not good at it, was the story mode. I heard so many things about this is a 30-hour long story mode. You can get through here and you're going to unlock the characters and you're going to have a whole lot of fun. You get to see all these different like trophies and all these stuff, like all these silly characters. And that's true. And for the first, I'd say 1/3 of the single player, I was really digging it. The first couple, little areas of the map, I was really having a lot of fun. I was doing my streams. I was going through, just having a fun time unlocking these things. But then after a while, it just kind of feels like you're doing the same thing over and over, and nothing is changing. And it's like, I got a third through it, and I was like, I can't do this for another, 20 hours. Like, this is just too much of the same, nothing changing up. I can't do this anymore. Like, this is just too much of the same thing. But I know that some people love the single player, so I'm not faulting it. It personally wasn't for me, so that was kind of a bummer on my end. Now, as far as the couch mode, everybody getting together and playing 4 players, same screen, that still works fine. There's no problem with that. In fact, a friend of mine and I were playing, we were driving somewhere, or somebody was driving us somewhere. We were riding. And he had his Switch and I had my Switch, and we were playing versus mode. No problems. That still works great. That's a lot of fun. Like, as long as your friends are with you in the same era, you're gonna have a good time with this game. But it's 2018, 2019. We're not always like that. Like, we are an online community at this point. Like, everybody, like, I live pretty far from most of my friends. Everybody has a Switch. Everybody can pick up Smash Brothers. I'd love to pick up my game and be able to play with them. Just like I do for Splatoon 2. Just like, you can do for Mario Kart. Like, all these games that work pretty much. I mean, they have a little bit of issue. But for the most part, it's no problem for Super Smash Brothers Ultimate to be so broken. It's disappointing. It really is disappointing, because it's something that I want to do on live streams and play with, friends of mine, viewers of mine. But with the game being so chuggy and so unreliable, I just find myself finding different games to play with them because it's just kind of aggravating. Like, why put ourselves through that if Nintendo doesn't even care enough? And not to mention, you're now having to pay for Nintendo's online. This game came out around the time that you're now having to pay for Nintendo's online service. Now, I get it, it's only $20 a year, but still, that's more than free. That's more than if a kid gets this for Christmas and doesn't get Nintendo Online, which is something I've ran into. They're not playing this game online. So you damn well better make sure that this stuff works, and it doesn't. Like, it is baffling to me that they would put it out in this state. Especially knowing, I mean, the Wii U one had online, and they should have realized how big of a community that was. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is a pretty big game, guys. Like, this isn't some small indie game that just snuck out and like, oh, we'll patch it. Like, this should have been working day one. It's a huge oversight and something that I don't think that we give Nintendo a pass on a lot of stuff. I give Nintendo a pass on a lot of stuff. And I don't think we should do it for this. Just because, like we're saying, Super Smash Brothers is one of, Ultimate is probably one of the best Smash Brothers game that has come out in a long time or ever. But yet you got half the game that's broken. You got the main portion of the game. The single player, it is what it is. Versus is where the game's bread is made. It's like Call of Duty. It's like if a Call of Duty game came out and the online didn't work, you wouldn't play it and everybody would hate it. But yet Super Smash Bros. Ultimate just gets a pass on that. I'm sorry, but I can't do that. I can't give them that. This should have been better than what it is. I mean, there's no excuse for it. Now, I do hear that you can, get one of those dongles to put an Ethernet port onto your Switch and then plug an Ethernet cable in. But then you have to hope that everybody else is doing that with their Switch, even though an Ethernet port is not inherently built into the Switch. So guess what? Most people aren't going to do that. Not to mention, my PS4 using Wi-Fi works perfectly fine. I have like playing the old games like Mortal Kombat X or Street Fighter. No problem with the online for the most part. Works perfectly. There's no excuse there's no excuse for this game. But that's one of my biggest disappointments of the year. It's not my biggest, but that's why it's my number 2. I love the game, but half the game is almost like it just isn't cutting it. So that leads us to our number 1. Leads us to our number 1 Dookie Hat King, Fallout 76. I think everybody expected this. I think this is mostly everybody's number 1. If you love the Fallout games, because other people saw this. Like, I have a buddy, who loves Fallout as much as me, saw this game, knew it wasn't for him. Me, on the other hand, I'm thinking, hey, this is a Fallout game that they're going to add where you have to eat and sleep and all this stuff. They're going to have it to where my friends can come in. We can build a community, but we're still going to go on quests and stuff like that. It looks awesome. I went on at the E3 showing. I was like, I'm in on this. Let's do it. We got a turd. We got a turd on a plate is what we got with Fallout 76. Came out, busted, barely worked. And you expect that with a Fallout 76 game. With a Fallout game, there's always going to be these bugs. There's always going to be problems. But like in this, but at least for the most part, the game is fun. You have quests and stuff to look forward to. You have NPCs that are memorable. You have guns that are cool, and you have all this stuff that's like, okay, I can make it through all this to get to the good stuff. Fallout 76, there's no good stuff to get through for having to put up with the bullshit of the online being broken. Just like how I was talking about with Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, this online barely works. The quest that you get, most of them break. The nuke stuff, you're supposed to go through all this stuff to be able to set off a nuke to get to a special area. Ends up the nukes are all on the, it's always the same code for the nukes. So that people are just able to look that up and ruin that part of the game right off the bat. the special edition of the game, you know, the $200, I think it was like $200 or something, is supposed to come with this cool canvas bag that they showed. Ends up it just came with this nylon bag. They totally lied to everybody about this canvas bag because they said it's something that they couldn't do, and they later on go back on that and like, okay, everybody's mad, so now we're going to give out canvas bags, but you have to jump through all these hoops in order to get it. It's just a mess. Fallout 76 is just a complete and utter failure, a huge mess. I love Fallout 3 is one of my favorite games of all time. I'm even an apologist for Fallout 4. I liked it when other people didn't. But this game, there's just no redeeming quality. It is just, there's nothing that I can even pull out of my ass to say here, like, well, at least this is good, or at least this is good, because the PvP doesn't work. Most of the time, the actual shooting doesn't work. They actually just had an update that messed up guns, that broke the weapons in this game. It's just a bag filled with turds that's on fire, and you can't stomp it out. You can't stomp this fiery turd bag out. Hopefully, it's going to be like how I said Sea of Thieves is going to be. They're going to keep working on it. And in 2019, I hope Sea of Thieves, Fallout 76, I hope pretty much, I think, you know, Sea of Thieves, Super Smash Brothers, and maybe even Fallout 76 can turn it around. Metal Gear Survive and State of Decay 2, I think they've done all they're going to do. But I hope that at least these 3 games on this list can turn it around in 2019. Super Smash Brothers, I mean, you don't have much to work on. All you have to do is fix that netcode. Fix that netcode, baby, and we're in there. We win. Like, you're good. You're good. You're Gucci. I mean, I like the arena mode that they have for... look at me, going back to Super Smash. I can't get it off my mind. I love the arena mode where you can have 8 people in a lobby and, like, 2 people fight and you're spectating. That's so cool. If it worked better. Like, if it worked, then it'd be really cool. And that's what makes it so sad. God, all these games. From Sea of Thieves to State of Decay 2, Metal Gear Solid Survive, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and the worst game, the most disappointing game that came out this year, Fallout 76. Not only is it disappointing, but it's probably one of the worst games that came out this year, just from any standard. And that is so disappointing. That is just, I never thought I'd say that about a Fallout game. You know, at worst, the other ones were like an 8. Like, they were like an 8 out of 10, at worst. This one is just a big old duty on the scale. So, sorry if I seem to go off on a rant, but, you know, when you have a little bit of hatred for these games, that you really... And the thing about disappointing games is if it was a game that I didn't care about or that I wasn't interested in, it didn't make my list. Because there's a lot of games that are worse than this. There are tons of games that I could have pulled up. You know, just pulled up a list. Like, you know, Agony came out and it was a total trash fire. The Quiet Man came out. It was total trash fire. Just like all these games, Overkill's The Walking Dead came out and it was a trash fire. But I didn't, like, I wasn't hyped for those games. I wasn't excited, so I can't say that I was disappointed for those games because I didn't have one feeling or another about them. But these games really, really disappointed me this year, and it's a bummer because there were some great games in 2018, some great games, but these were just gigantic bummers. But anyways, I've ranted on long enough. Hopefully you've avoided these games, or not avoided all of them, like only the truly bad ones. Metal Gear Solid Survive and Fallout 76. Avoid those games completely. Sea of Thieves, I say check that out. You know, hopefully everything will turn around. I hope that I'm playing more Sea of Thieves this year. State of Decay 2, it is what it is. You know, it wasn't terrible, but it was very disappointing. But Super Smash Brothers, let's get that fixed, baby. Patch it, and we're in there. We're in there if you just patch it. But yeah, so it's good to have a little bit of optimism with some of these games. Some of them you can't. But yeah, man, I appreciate you guys stopping by. Like, it really means a lot to me. Hopefully you guys either agree with me, but if you disagree with me, let me know down in the comments below. Also, let me know what your most disappointing games of the year. I'd love to know, like, what games came out and just really stuck in your craw. I mean, just, And let me know why. I would love to know. I'd love to know some reason, because maybe I'll even go and check those games out. I like to check out shitty games every once in a while, and maybe I missed one or two. So let me know down in the comments below. If you like the video, hit that like button. It means so much to me. It lets me know that I'm on the right track. Also, if you're not already subbed to the channel, hit that sub button so that you know when the next video goes up and when we go live over here. But other than that, like I said, I appreciate you stopping by, and I hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.